Hi everyone, you're welcome back to another edition and you're welcome back to my channel. Right, this afternoon I'm going to be sharing with you. I think this is the second part of the movie. Not movie. This is the second part to the video I've done on how to encourage your children to read. So this is the second part, which is basically going to be telling you how you can develop reading in your children. So sit back and enjoy. And please, if you haven't liked, subscribed, and shared my videos, please do. And the Lord will continue to bless you. Okay, sit back and listen. Hiya, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing with you things that you can do to help your children on the path of reading or beginning readers. So in my last video, I'm going to be putting the link above here so you can listen to that first if you have. So this is a follow-on, and I think that the first video is not a video that you can skip into this part now, because I think you have to develop that interest in your children, that knowledge, that awareness of books and of print. You need to develop those in your children first before then you can now go on to this second stage, because it's just like jumping a foundation. So if the foundation is not right, everything on top of it will not be right. Okay, so this is the second bit of the foundation. Now, so how can you help your children to develop reading or to become beginning readers? And number one, I think the first thing you need to do is, now we've kind of helped them to understand what books are and to begin to like books. Now, the second thing that we can do as parents is now begin to introduce them to the alphabet. Now, when I mean introducing them to the alphabet, I don't mean sitting them down and teaching them the alphabet. Time will come for that. But the first thing you can do is nursery rhymes that have to do with the alphabet, songs, and be very careful of the songs that you choose as well, because some of the nursery rhymes will say the name of the alphabet A, B, instead of the sounds. And I think for me, the name of the alphabet is not important when it comes to helping your child to read. The name of the alphabet is important when it comes to writing and spelling. But for the reading, what the child really needs is the sounds. So always look for videos and things that go for the sound of the alphabet. So for instance, B, K. So things like that, because that is what your child, no child will learn how to read by the name of the alphabet. You cannot say, if the child wants to read, say the word bat. The child will not go B, A-T. It's not going to read that word. But if the child go B-A-T, then he can read that word. So go for rhymes, songs, and things that promote the sound of the alphabet rather than the name. And then also, you have to invest in things like this. Now, this is one I was using for my daughter. So this is just alphabets. And so I put this in key areas in my house. Now, I know as a family we spend more time in our sitting room, so I pasted this on the wall in our sitting room, and I didn't teach my daughter the name of the alphabet, rather I taught her the sounds of the alphabet. So we go with A, B, K, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. So what I did was I paste this in the sitting room, and then during the day while we're there, I'll say, oh, what is this sound? And then I will say, and then she will repeat after me, and I'll say, what is this one? B, 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 B. And then I will say, B, B, B. And then during the day while she's playing, I can say, what is this one? Of course, she might not know. And I'll say, G, G. Say with me, G. And then she'll say with me. And then after a while, while she's playing something, I say, what is that one again? And then she'll say, G. Now, this was a very subtle way. So basically, she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know that she was actually learning the sounds of the letters, but rather she thought we were playing. So basically, that's what I did. And then, of course, we had songs and things like that. And I tell you, one good song or one good children's cartoon that I found very helpful is Alpha Blocks. If you live in the UK, I don't know about America, but if you live in the UK, Alpha Blocks is very popular. It's children cartoon that they do on CBBS. Alpha blocks for me was one of the key things that helped my son read before he went to school, just by listening to Alpha blocks. And then I also went and bought the series, because Alpha blocks goes up in series. So it starts with the names of the alphabet and the sounds, and then it graduates from CVC what, and then it graduates to difficulty. So I went and I bought the entire series of Alpha blocks. Now, when I don't have the time to sit with my son to do the reading, I just slot in the Alpha block. And this is what I say about you have to be an active parent. So this is active parenting. Instead of my son sitting down watching some cartoon, which I feel, yeah, I mean, everything is good. It exposes them to a lot of stuff. But I think, okay, sometimes instead of just sitting and watching cartoons, I just slot in the Alpha block, and then I go about doing my cleaning or my whatever I'm doing. And then he's watching that. He thought he was watching a cartoon because the Alpha block is very cartoony. But at the same time, he was learning. And then sometimes those Alpha blocks just flash up, and he would just tell you, he would just say it, because I made sure that every single day he watched Alpha blocks, every single day, and not just random Alpha blocks. So I started with the very little basis one, and then we started graduating. And by the time my son got to school, and of course with other things I did with him, he was reading. So now, sometimes you don't have to be hard on the children. No, sit down here. Oh, do your reading. Oh, do this. No. Sometimes that will put off the child. But you can find subtle ways as a parent to help your children with their reading journey. So I have this, which I put, and then of course this one, but this is a number one. Of course, these are two things you need to develop along the line. This is number, and then this is letter. So I had these two things pasted in the sitting room, and then to help my child along the journey. And another thing I had as well is this. So the flashcards, the first word flashcards. Now this one I use at a later stage. Now, of course, first time your children might not be able to blend and segment and blend words. So this is not going to be useful until they've gotten to that stage, or they're about to get to that stage. But I had this, and then I had the alphabet one, which also these are the words, these are the word ones. But I had alphabet ones. I don't know where I put them. I had the alphabet ones, which basically had just the name of which had the letter, and then I can just pull out one random one, and I say, what is this? And then she would tell me it's K. And then another day I pull up 2 minutes, a minute. Sometimes I don't even spend up to a minute. I just pull out one and I say, what is this? And then she look at it and she tell me, fantastic. And I put it down, and that's enough for one day. But the key thing was I was consistent. Every single day I had to make sure I did something. Every single day. You've got to be consistent. Every single day, no matter how little, do something. Then when I saw that she was now very conversant with the letter sounds, so she could tell me she could easily say the letters and their sounds confidently from A to Z. I said, okay, now this is the time for us to move to the next stage. Please do not jump from the letter recognition of sounds to another stage, because it's not going to help your child. You've got to make sure that your child is fully grounded in the letter sound first, before then you can move on to the segmenting and blending. Now, what I mean by segmenting and blending, it just means to segment means to take a word, pull them apart into their individual sounds, and then pull them back together. That's the blending to make the word. So for instance, I have the word cat. That is the word cat. If I want to segment the word cat, I will go k, a, t. There are 3 letters that make that word, that word cat, k, a, t. And if I want to blend them, then I go cat, and they make the word cat. Okay, now when I saw that my child was now very secure in the letter sounds, then I felt, okay, now this is the time to go into blending and segmenting and blending. But I just didn't jump into it. Now I approached it from the stance of a game. So what I'll do is I'll say a word, ba-ag, ba-ag, ba-ag. Of course she will join with me, ba-ag, ba-ag. She will go, ba-ag. And I'll say, can you think of another word that starts with b? And then she will tell me beat, or she will say beg, or she will say So basically, I was just trying to help her to understand that words are made up of single sounds, that when you put together, they make a word. So I was trying to build that awareness in her. Now, when I say her, because she's my youngest, I also did the same thing for my other two. Okay, but because she's my youngest, she's my most recent experience when it comes to reading. So that's what I'm saying, her. So I then started building that. So I say ish, 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 and then she would join me, and then I'll say what word begins with and then she will say fox, and I'll say fantastic, and then I'll go ox, ox, and then she would tell me, I say what word begins with o, and then she might say, or what word has the sound o in it, and then she might say otter, something. She might just come up with something random. Sometimes she might be right, sometimes not right. So it was a game. So I never really introduced book at this point to my child reading. I never introduced anything books. So I was just trying to build that segmenting and blending skills first before I can then introduce her to reading books. Because if a child does not know how to do this and then you try and bring a book for them to read, they're not going to read it because they haven't developed that skill. So the first thing first is to develop that skill. And for me, how to develop the skill is just by games. And also I remember using these cards as well. So I use these ones. So I'll get the card, I'll say the word beep, I'll turn it around and I will point b, b, e, b, b, e, b, b, e, b, and I'll go beep, beep, beep. And sometimes she would join me, sometimes she would just look at me. So I might do like 2 or 3 of these, and I'll go, what's the picture? She will say bed, and I'll say, okay, let's read, and then she will go bed, 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 and I'll say, what's the word? And she'll go bed. So same, I'll pick another one, and I'll say, what's that? She'll say hen. I'll say, okay, let's try and see if we can read it. I'll go hen, hen. What's the word? And then she'll say hen. Other times I'll also close the picture because I like this bit because it's already segmented the words into the different sounds. So I'll close the picture and I'll say, right, we're going to use the sounds to help us work out what the word is. And I'll do the same thing. Hen, hen. What's the word? And then she'll tell me hen. Of course, I'll take off my hand and I'll say the word is hen. So basically, I was developing that listening skills. Now, in schools, they tend to develop these listening skills. They call it the phase 1 of phonics, which is where they develop it by listening to sounds. So maybe they go out for walks, they play drums, they do other things, just to develop the children's listening skills. So that you can do. But for me, I felt she was quite exposed to sounds anyway, everywhere. So I just went straight to this. But still, as I said, not with a book. At this point in time, I haven't introduced any CVC word books to her. No, I was just developing her segmenting and blending skills. And then after we developed now to not using this, but sometimes when I go to drop her at school and we're waiting for them to open the gates, and we'll take a game. And I said, okay, let's play a game. And I'll say, box. What's the word? She'll tell me, box. Now, this is at the point when I realized that her listening skills were developing. Initially, at the beginning, if you say that, she would just look at you like, what? Of course, she didn't know what it was. Yes, she knew the sounds, but her segmenting and blending skills were not there. She just look at you like, Mommy, what are you saying? And I'm like, it's okay. So I'll tell her what it is. I'll do it, and I'll tell her what it is. So when I saw that her skills, her segmenting skills were increasing actually, and I noticed that one day when I went to drop her at school, we were playing this game, and I went cat. What's the word? And she just went cat. Oh, I said, okay, fantastic. I said, maybe because I've said cat so many times, so she's got the word cat. Let's try again. Let me try something else. And I went, what's the word? Let's say ox. What's the word? And she just said box. I said, okay, fantastic. Now I thought, maybe she might have heard me said box several times because we've played this game 110 times. I said, okay, I'm going to go to diagraphs because I've not introduced her to diagraphs. And I went, what is the word? Each. The sh is a diagraph at the end. She doesn't know what this diagraph is. Each. And she went fish. I said, okay. Now, This is the end. The diagraph is the end of the word. Let me put the diagraph at the beginning of the word and see if she can still tell me what the word is. And I went, cheap. What is that? And she went, cheap. And at that point in time, I knew that her segmenting and blending skills were up on the increase, and I knew that she's gotten it. So then at this point, I then brought about the CVC books. I haven't got one to show you here. And I started with the phase 2 CVC books. And these are just books, simple words. And then that's when I knew that she could now be able to read a book, a CVC book, when I brought it. Now, some CVC books have high frequency words in them, like is, I. So those words you have to teach separately and independently away from words that you can blend and segment. And I'm going to also explain to you how I teach my daughter high frequency words. So these are words that don't follow the usual segmenting and blending pattern. If you try to do that, the words wouldn't sound right. So those words, you need to teach them those words independently of the segmenting and blending. And then, so I just went so we just went to CVC words, and if I see a segment, a high frequency word within the word, I call it special words for just help understanding. So if we see a special word, I just tell her what it is, and then eventually I taught her those special words out independent of the phonics sounds. So that's how I was able to build that reading skill or development in my child. So it wasn't a one-day thing, it wasn't a two-day thing. This is about a space of months. Okay, so don't expect your child. Some children can do it very quickly. I know my son grabbed it really quickly. He's a quick learner. He grabbed it so quick that I didn't have to even go through all this process. Same with my daughter, was about the same with my second daughter. So it depends on how quick your child learns. So I had to go through this phase gradually and steadily enough for her to be able to get it. Before then, I introduced books, and then before I began to introduce the diagraphs and trigraphs. At the moment, we're just still in diagraph. She hasn't got to trigraph yet. But if I segment a word that has a trigraph and just segment it, she can be able to tell me the word. But if you give her a word that has a trigraph in it, she might not be able to read it because she still does not get the trigraph. Although I've told her that, of course, these are 3 letters that make one sound, but she's understanding the concept of 2 letters that make one sound. So at the moment, if she sees ch, sh, and the others in a book, she can read it. But when she sees the I, she will struggle with that. So it is a gradual process. So don't expect your child to do it overnight. It's not going to work, except it's an Albert Einstein that can do it, or which, I mean, I don't know, but just be aware that it will take time. So something you have to do gradually until your child gets the hang of it. So guys, these are the tips and these are the skills that I've used not only with my children but in my classrooms as well, because I've been a year 1 teacher for quite a long time, and a lot of the children who come to year 1 are still beginning readers as well. So these are tips and tricks that I've used to help them to read. Now, as I said, the key thing is you've got to be consistent. You don't do one day and then you leave the other day. No, you've got to make it a habit that every single day I must do something. It doesn't matter how big. It might be 1 minute, it might be 2 minutes, it might be 5 minutes. But guys, don't even go more than 10 minutes, because to be honest, at this point in time, they're very young and their attention span is very short. So I can't even imagine myself going for more than 10 minutes, because she's just going to lose the plot. The child will lose the plot because they're still very young. So their attention span is not that great. So 5 minutes maximum a day. 5 minutes. I mean, you can just spend 5 minutes like that without even realizing that you spend 5 minutes doing nothing that is something of less importance than this. So even if you devote 5 minutes a day to help your child to get them to that reading trajectory, I'm sure they will get there. Now, some people say, why do I have to stress myself? The school will do this. I don't have to bother. Yeah, you can wait for the school to do it. It's not a race. It's not, nobody's saying it's a race. It's not a race. You can wait for the schools to do it. But from my own experience, I've noticed that children who go into school with some level of reading skills or reading ability, they tend to do better. My other 2 kids were summer born. Summer born babies, they tend to catch up quite later. I've also seen this from my own experience in the classroom. Some are born, so these are children who are born. So you have the oldest children are from September onwards, one of the oldest children, but the summer born children who are born in August. So they usually go to school when they are 4. And you find out that it takes quite a bit of time for them to pick up and catch up. But one thing you can do for them is, if they're able to read, even not perfectly, if they're able to read to an extent, by the time they get to school, then you wouldn't notice that gap. You wouldn't notice that gap because they will catch up. I mean, learning, a lot of learning has to do with reading. If you can read, you will understand a lot of what is going on in the classroom and what you are expected to do in the classroom. So if you give them a little bit of that edge, and then they are bound to succeed. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that they're going to be clever than the children who read later on. No. But research has shown that sometimes you just give them a little bit of an edge. They will definitely catch up because children learn in different ways and different skills. I mean, look at the Scandinavian countries, the Denmark and co. They teach their children reading skills later on when they're 6. But compared to the UK, we start at 3, 4, 5. So 4 and 5. So you find that those children still catch up. I mean, although the Scandinavian children tend to do better in reading tests and all of that than us, but still, a UK child will still read at 6. They might be reading. So it's not a race, as I said, it's not a race. But these are just things to help give your children a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a push to the start of school. And not only that, as I always say, in reading, you are exposed to a lot. Reading is a magical tool that if you know how to use it, you can gain quite a lot from it. You can get quite, not only that, it gives a lot of exposure. When I was in Nigeria, I was an avid reader. Well, because of childbearing and other things, I don't read as much as I used to. But when I was in Nigeria, I was an avid reader. And I was young, I was an avid reader. And I had quite a lot of experience and knowledge than people who were far older than I am. And a lot of things that I knew, I didn't know them from interaction. I knew them from books, from just reading books and learning. I mean, I taught myself how to knit when I was in Nigeria. I taught myself how to knit from a book. I could knit scarves, I could knit shawls, I could knit baby boots, I could knit all sorts, hairbands, everything. I could knit anything by just books. Through books, I taught myself how to knit and even learned even better skills. I remember then we had my dad's company, they had an exchange student who came from Holland, I think. And when she was going back for a bit of holiday, I said, please, could you buy me this knitting book? In fact, I found what I wanted. I said, could you buy me this knitting book? I would like to have it. And she bought it for me and brought it back. And that was how I was able to develop my knitting skills to far more complex things. Just by books. I never went to a knitting school. I never saw a knitting house. I just developed interest by reading. And I saw that, oh, I'd like to learn that. And I did. So there's nothing that your child cannot get if they don't read. It's a useful skill. But as I said, it's not a race. Feel free at your own pace and at your own time to teach your child how to read. But if you're on that point or you are in that way to teaching your child how to read, I'm just giving you skills and tips that can help you to develop reading in your child. Okay, I hope you've learned something today and hope this has been useful. In the third part of this series, I'm going to be sharing with you how I now use the books, the CVC books, and what I did to help my child with the high frequency word, and how she was able to learn those and then transfer those to reading and all of that. So that's going to be the next part of this series. So I hope you've learned something. If you've got any comments, any questions, any other thing you want to share, please feel free to write it in the description box below, and I will attend to those when I can. Okay, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you soon. God bless you. Bye.